My name is Chris Geldart. I'm the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety and Justice for Washington, D.C. I'm joined here today by members of Mayor Bowser's administration. We have Rachel Pierre from the Department of Human Services, Dr. Jean Moyes from the Department of Behavioral Health. We have Sergeant Holly Byrne from our Fire and Emergency Medical Services, and Monique McSween from the Department of Parks and Recreation. We're here today at Turkey Thicket Recreation Center in one of the district's spray parks to talk about the extreme heat that is impacting our city. When the forecast of temperatures or heat index in the district is 95 degrees or higher, Mayor Bowser, through the Department of Human Services and the D.C. Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency, implements the heat emergency plan. During a heat emergency, we activate cooling centers for residents to seek relief from heat, and D.C. government employees and community partners are notified of this activation so they can be extra vigilant while they're out and interacting with the public. Information on heat emergencies, cooling centers, their operating hours, and more is available at heat.dc.gov. Again, that's heat.dc.gov. That's where you get all the information on where our cooling centers are and everything that we do to beat the heat. I would implore our residents, if you're not already signed up for Alert DC, to do so. And you can do that at alert.dc.gov. That is the main way that we communicate with our public when we have things that are going on, emergencies and otherwise. So you can sign up for that again at alert.dc.gov or follow us on Twitter at @alertdc. The other thing I really want to cover before I turn this over to the folks that are really working this out in the street through the weekend is it's going to get hotter throughout this weekend. So today is going to be warm, tomorrow warmer, and Sunday even warmer than that. And as we've said on many different occasions, when we have things that are going on that will affect our more vulnerable in the community, our elderly, those that are more vulnerable to heat, check on your neighbors. That is one of the best things that we can do. People in their neighborhoods know the folks in their neighborhoods, know where we have folks that are vulnerable to heat. Please check on them and make sure that they're doing okay. It takes all of us to make sure we get through things like big heat waves like this, and it would be just the best way possible for us to get through that when everybody's checking on each other and making sure that we are staying cool and getting the resources that we need to beat the heat. Just like these kids are doing right behind us here and having a great time at doing it. Throughout the weekend, any time we experience extreme weather, we encourage you to be vigilant for people who may be suffering from heat-related illness or need a safe place to cool off. As always, call 911 immediately to report any medical emergencies. For less than urgent concerns, you can call 311 to connect with sheltering or other city services. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Pierre from DHS to speak about our cooling centers and services to help the vulnerable residents beat the heat.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Pierre. I am the Family Services Administrator at the District Department of Human Services. So today I'm here to share with you all that DHS is doing to help our neighbors experiencing homelessness beat the heat. A hot weather emergency has been implemented through July 25th, as you've just heard. This means that the temperature and heat index is projected to be 95 degrees or hotter. In short, it means it's going to be hot, dangerously hot. The hot weather emergency implementation means that DHS takes additional steps to help district residents beat the heat. We maximize every available bed within our shelter system and work to obtain additional capacity. Our day centers have been extended so that residents who are experiencing homelessness can go inside to cool down. The Downtown Day Services Center will be open Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The 801 East Day Center will be open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, and the Adams Place Day Center will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. DHS outreach workers will also be doing wellness checks and providing water to residents experiencing homelessness from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. We also have added additional cooling buses strategically located throughout the city. Hot weather emergencies are something that we prepare for and take very seriously, but DHS alone can't help residents beat the heat. We rely on our outreach partners such as Pathways to Housing DC, Miriam's Kitchen, Community Connections, and also we ask you to check on your neighbors experiencing homelessness and help them come in. I want to remind the district residents to utilize the shelter hotlines If you or someone need emergency shelter, please contact the shelter hotline at 202-399-7093. Again, that number is 202-399-7093, or dial 311. Vans will also be providing transportation to residents experiencing homelessness, to the cooling buses, and warming centers. Thank you. I will pass it to my colleague, Dr. Boyisha.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jean Moise. I'm the Deputy Director of Adult Services at the Department of Behavioral Health for the district. I am so pleased to be here because we're very well aware of the physical and somatic consequences of extreme heat. Obviously, we're all out here in the elements and we're feeling uncomfortable and a little physically stressed. What a lot of people don't appreciate is that extreme heat has been well documented as having significant negative, deleterious impact on our emotional wellness, especially for people that are who are already suffering from emotional challenges or mental illness. There are lots of reasons for that, but one of the reasons, in addition to all of us feeling stressed and physically uncomfortable in extreme heat, is that oftentimes when people are taking medication, those medications can have an interaction with the heat, which causes their bodies to be less able to regulate heat. So the impact is even further compounded than it may have on others who do not, or who are not taking medications. So how do you know if you're stressed, emotionally disturbed, if you will, based on the extreme heat? Well, any patterns that are different from your usual patterns. So if you're, just like depression or anxiety, people react or respond differently based on their stressors. So in this situation, some people may isolate and eat more or eat less or be in bed all day long, trying to, feel more comfortable. Whatever changes you see in your pattern ought to be a signal and a sign that you may need to pay attention to your emotional well-being and wellness. What can you do? What can you do if you're feeling extreme stress, anxiety, or depression as a result of this extreme weather condition we're having? One thing, obviously, we all know is to stay cool, stay hydrated, get indoors, stay as physically comfortable and cool as you can. At the same time, some people retreat to bed or to the couch. You want to stay active. So something you might want to do is to go to a mall or go to a movie theater and do something you enjoy that gives you purpose and satisfaction, but stay active. Don't stay locked up in your apartment or your house. Pay attention to your feelings. People may feel anxious, irritable, stressed, but they're not able to determine or figure out what's going on. Take a moment, take a time out, and think about what's going on. Is it family? Is it tensions? Is it work? Because all of those natural stressors that we may have are further exacerbated in a situation like this. Lastly, for those of you that have a way of getting centered, focused, to take a time out and consider your circumstances and your emotional health, whether it's a structured practice or just a little time out, watching TV or listening to some jazz or some good music, I encourage you to do that, to get recentered and refocused in terms of what you need to do to take care of yourself. Lastly, stay connected to other people, stay connected to your passions and what gives you pleasure and joy. And if all of those things, you're still having difficulties with all of those things, please reach out to the Department of Behavioral Health. You can reach us at 1-888-7-WE-HELP. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Holly O'Byrne, and I'm a sergeant with DC Fire and EMS Department. DC's Bravest very strongly want to make sure that you are healthy, taken care of, and supported during this heat emergency. First, I want to give you a couple of really good tips to help break the heat cycle for everyone in the district. First, wear loose-fitting light clothing. Make sure that you stay in the shade if you have to be inside or outside, and make sure that if you are outside, you are hydrating, and we are choosing to use water and sports drinks rather than sugary drinks. Okay. I also want to let you know there are two different types of heat emergencies that we're going to be faced with. The first one is going to be signs of heat exhaustion. Now, this is the more mild condition. This is where you're going to have signs of weakness. You're going to feel more tired from being out in the sun. You're going to feel dizzy. You might feel a little sick to your stomach or nauseous. And you might also start to develop a headache. Look out for these signs. This is your body giving you a warning sign that you need to come in and get away from the heat. So please move into the AC, loosen any of your tight-fitting clothing, and begin to hydrate with cool drinks. The more serious condition, the one where we want you to contact 911, is called heat stroke. This is a very severe medical condition. Okay? This is where people often present very confused or unconscious, where you can't wake them up. They're not aware to who they are, where they are, or what they're doing. These are also people who are going to present with very red, very hot, and dry skin. Your body has stopped sweating. You're no longer able to cool off. You're not hydrated anymore. This medical condition is very serious. We want you to call 911. We want you to stay with that person, whether it is a family member, someone you know, or someone you run across on the street. One of the things we want to stop, though, is please do not open the fire hydrants. Okay? The pressure from the hydrant can cause very, very serious bodily injury. We don't want anyone to get hurt because of improper usage. The other problem that comes up is that if you improperly open a hydrant, you can damage the contents of it, rendering it useless for DC Fire and EMS. That means if there's an emergency on your block, we will not be able to use that hydrant if there's a fire or a real emergency. We're also going to be keeping a very close eye on our firefighters and paramedics and EMTs in the city. The heat affects them as well. Our message remains the same. Loose clothing. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. We cannot stress this enough. Okay? As the heat wave increases, we're going to be looking at our staffing levels, especially during large emergencies like structure fires or other incidents while we're operating. We want to ensure that we rotate our crews to ensure we get them out of the heat, hydrate them, and get them a break that they so deserve. I cannot stress this enough. Please check on your neighbors and your family members, especially those who are elderly and young children. They are highly susceptible during the heat emergencies. Okay? Please utilize the cooling shelters, the splash pads, the cooling buses. If you are hot, go cool off. Okay? Do not get susceptible and sick to the heat. But if you do have to be outside for any reason, for any period of time, please try to get in the shade. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monique McSween, and I am the Deputy Director of Strategy and Communications at the DC Department of Parks and Recreation. At DPR, we are pleased to be the place where fun happens. And this weekend, we are encouraging district residents to have fun safely by visiting a DPR pool or spray park. Under Mayor Bowser's leadership, DPR's Director Delano Hunter has identified 10 pools which will be open for extended hours this weekend. Those extended hours are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that's today, Friday, as well as tomorrow and Sunday. Now, we also have 11 additional outdoor pools and 9 indoor pools, which will be open this weekend during our regular operating hours. Additionally, we have 34 spray parks, just like this fun spray park here at Turkey Thicket Recreation Center, which our kids just love and enjoy. And those spray parks are open throughout the district from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. A full list of DPR pools is available on our website, Dpr.dc.gov, in the Find a Pool section. Again, we encourage district residents to have fun this weekend, but have fun safely by staying cool at a DPR pool or spray park. Thank you. And now hand the mic over to Mayor Gelder. Thank you.
Okay, so you heard from several of the district agencies on what to be aware of for yourself or for others that are out there, places where you can get cool, and I think you heard the common message across the board, let's look out for each other. So let's take a couple of questions now. Mark.
Deputy Mayor, are there any large events planned in the district, marches, rallies, block parties, and has anything been canceled because of the heat?
So I'm not aware of anything being canceled due to the heat, Mark. We always have a lot of weekend rallies and events that are going on. I'll be partaking in one of those tomorrow, a peace walk that we have and a peace event through 202 DC. So I know that's still going on from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. Not hearing anything really on cancellations. But again, with everything that was given up here for people to take caution, ways that they can beat the heat, I think that we've given a lot for folks to understand if you are doing things outside, limit that time, try to be in the shade, and make sure that you're wearing loose-fitting clothing and light clothing so that you can beat the heat. Yes, sir.
Yes, Dario Lopez from Telemundo. What is the recommendations for some workers, like construction workers or food truck workers, to try to avoid the heat stroke?
Sure, and I think pretty much everything we set up here applies to the workers that are out as well. Loose clothing, it's really hard if you're working out in the heat to get out of the heat. More frequent breaks, of course, and of course be very diligent of what the sergeant went over, of all of those things leading you from, something as simple as heat exhaustion over to heat stroke. Know what those signs are, know when it's time to take a break, and get out of that heat and cool off, and stay hydrated.
And I have a question for Ms. Pierre.
Yes, sir.
So, first off, just looking at the situation, are libraries open? What are we talking about that's open here? I guess other stuff, right? Because of the heat.
Sure. So I mentioned that we have day centers that are usually open with limited hours during the week. We have extended those hours on the weekends. So all of our day centers ultimately are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We also have additional cooling buses. We actually have 4 additional cooling buses that will be strategically located throughout the city. And we'll make that information available. I have the details here. But also our shelter hotlines, the transportation, are available to pick up anyone who is experiencing homelessness or who would like to come in to the day centers or the cooling buses as well.
Now, and I have a question on another topic, but I understand I should just ask you here. Is that your understanding?
Sure.
So we're interested, obviously, in a building that's out in Southeast at Chesapeake Street. And this is a building where apparently there are a lot of problems with people coming in off the street using drugs, and it says terrifying the people who live there. And we're interested in what what your agency is doing about it, specifically a woman who lives there with 3 children.
Sure, thank you. So I just want to start by saying that we're very disturbed with the pictures that were shared regarding the state of this building. The Department of Human Services does not talk about particular client cases, but I can tell you that what we do, we focus on the services, and we rely on some other agency partners, housing partners, to ensure housing conditions. We continue to work very closely with our case management team to really reach out and help families who may be in unsafe housing conditions to get approved for relocation.
For example, it used to. Is that something that concerns your agency?
Sure, I'm going to pass it to the Deputy Mayor to answer additional questions. Thank you.
Sam, thanks for the question. And we have a group of agencies that comes together that goes around the city and pays particular attention to buildings like this. Sure. And it's a great question. And it's one that, we're addressing throughout the city at different buildings. We bring all the agencies in that need to be there, DCRA, the fire department, the fire marshal's office, DDOT and DPW we bring in as well to make sure that the trash and that the streets in front and everything like that, everything's being done. We need to get that back to where it belongs. So we are very much concerned about it. It's very much a priority for us. We have a whole team that does this throughout the city, and we'll continue to work that. So we're on top of that one. We know about that one. DHS is doing their part in that. Of course, they're a partner in that as well, as is DBH, when we have to go into those buildings and do the work we do, as well as the Metropolitan Police Department. So all of those agencies come together. We go into the building with the building owners or management company, or on our own if we don't have the support of them, to see what is going on and what we need to do to stabilize that and then get it back or get everybody out one way or the other.
We'll be back to ask you about that.
Yes, sir. Mark.
Yeah, an off-topic question for you,
Sure.
Deputy Mayor. I know later today MPD will identify the commander involved in the shooting at the wharf. I'm wondering if I can ask you in advance of that, one, about the decision it appears you're going to release body-worn camera from the officers who arrived on the scene after the shooting, which is not required by statute, but you're going to do it. But you're not going to release the surveillance video from the hotel that you've released a still capture from that actually shows the incident. I'm wondering why the decision not to release that video that may or may not explain to the public whether this was a good shoot.
Sure. I think what we'll be able to tell from the stills and from the body-worn camera and all of that, we've actually posted out there pretty much everything that shows what happened at the incident. That went up on MPD's website pretty early with the pictures and all. But some of the information is still part of the ongoing investigation. And, you know, the chief is the one that looks at this and says, you know, what are the things that he recommends to the mayor that we can put out right now that we feel at this point in the investigation are good to post and for the community to see. And that's where we are right now.
Can I follow up on
Sure.
that? Can you tell us whether the two officers involved submitted to blood alcohol tests that night after the shooting, and if you know whether they were in compliance with general orders when it comes to alcohol and use of off-duty force?
Sure. So that's all still under investigation with the Internal Affairs Division as they look at that. So those are things that I can't comment on at this point because all that's still being looked at. Now they're going to follow the procedures here, Mark, and everything they do around their investigation. So I'm more than positive that was part of all that investigation. But as we get further along, I'll make sure that we share all that information.
You can't even tell us, regardless of the outcome of the test, whether tests were conducted, whether they actually submitted to BAC?
Again, as far as I know, that is part of the investigation from the Internal Affairs. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's part of their investigation, and I'm sure that all that will come out as they conclude their investigation.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Everybody stay cool.